scariest knockouts ever seen in women's MMA. Some people say that chicks punch, well, like chicks. It's like when someone says you punch like a girl. These words are capable of causing insecurity or even inferiority in most men. But clearly these men have never witnessed the insane knockouts delivered by the planet's most ruthless women. Here are the scariest knockouts ever seen in Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang. Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang. Rose Thug Namajunas. I mean, what more can be said about this badass female titan? You know those annoying fighters who talk the talk for publicity but are unable to back it up? Well, Rose is nothing like those fighters. She's all you want to see from an MMA specialist, one who lets the fighting talk and the bullshit walk. Hell, even Kamaru Usman was seen giving her flowers. He recognized the talent, was at a training session, claimed to watch greatness unfold.
The type of emotions that you go through.
Yeah.
Few fighters are as disciplined as the Nigerian unity to manifest. Despite the great defense of Zhang, Rose managed to land a head kick through her defenses, exposing her to piston-delivering hammer fist on the ground.
Several of those inside low kicks.
They say force equals mass. They say force equals mass times acceleration, and with how fast Rose landed her foot to the chin of Zhang, it's no wonder why her legs buckled from beneath her. Danielle Taylor versus Emily Ducote. Danielle Taylor spent her days breaking up prison brawls and cracking the skulls of female fighters. She's a sheriff at the North County Correctional Facility out of Los Angeles and came into the main event of Invicta FC44 with hopes to not only retrieve the strawweight belt, but also to pad her 11-5 pro MMA record. But Emily Gordina Ducote would have other plans. Burying all hopes and dreams of the glorified prison guard, could not avoid being stopped in her tracks with every chance to land significant strikes. She continuously pressed forward until she advanced one time too many. With Danielle's last march forward of the fight, Emily landed a vicious cross. So devastating, it immediately left Emily unconscious while she was still standing. The referee immediately noticed this, but before he could rush to spare her, Ducote played cleanup with a nasty head kick.
Yeah, but Ducote seems like she's shut down that avenue.
Ooh, hard right hand. Taylor in trouble. Head kick for the finish. It is done.
The finish was something remnant of a Mortal Kombat fatality. The fighter standing unconscious as if all health points had run out, and Emily mercilessly ending her. Emily Gordina Ducote wins.
Flawless victory.
Irene Aldana versus Ketlen Vieira. Coming into this fight, Irene Aldana ranked low in the women's bantamweight division, so many did not expect her to dismantle and abuse the vet Vieira. Perhaps if Vieira beating that she would receive at the end of this bout. If you ever wanted to see a fighter viciously ground and pound another into unconsciousness, this would be the knockout not to miss. At the start of the bout, Vieira would establish her dominance in the ring, marching forward and forcing Aldana to fight backwards while implementing great footwork. Additionally, Vieira would land some pretty powerful combinations with enough force to emit sound loud enough for the fans in row Z to hear.
The way they're following each other is very slick. Nice one.
You're right, Ketlen Vieira had a style.
However, as the fight progressed, Aldana would continue to be patient, implementing beautiful footwork and top-tier head movement that gave opportunity for some vicious counter heavy strikes and combinations of her own. By minute 2 of the very first round, the tables had turned. Aldana began to outclass the vet and force her to backpedal as she advanced forward.
Aldana throwing a lot of feints.
On her bicycle, trying to stay away from Ketlen. Now she...
Nice left hook.
Vieira would become frustrated with the change in roles. She was the fighter to win the bout, and she found herself backpedaling with the seemingly more technical fighter. Anger and pride would be Aldana's demise as she pressed forward to land some heavy shots only to be welcomed with a right hook from hell that put the sparks out in Vieira's eyes. Knocked nobody's home. It doesn't matter how far you go or how good you get, unless you're Jon Jones, you will and can fall. And in this case, Vieira was served a slice of humble pie by way of a brutal ground pound. But if you think that was a beating, wait until you see this next knockout. Cat Zingano versus Misha. Cat Zingano versus Miesha Tate. On April 13th, 2013, Miesha Tate had high hopes of making a statement against Kat Zingano, who would make her UFC debut during their bout. Tate, the Strikeforce champion at the time, was no stranger to competing against some of the most badass women on the planet and looked to establish dominance as she stood toe-to-toe with Zingano. The fight would break out with Miesha leading with impressive wrestling, absolutely ragdogging Kat. By the end of the first round, Miesha had established top position and successfully fed Zingano a barrage of elbows. However, the second round told a different tale, with Kat landing some heavy ground and pound strikes of her own from half guard towards the end of the second round. Zingano would continue to outclass Tate in the third round, keeping her on her back and painting her face crimson red with a gut-wrenching ground and pound onslaught. Tate would escape the beating from the ground, only to be welcomed with a barrage of 4 brutal knees that started the floodgates of blood. With a battered and softened up opponent, Kat finished the job with an elbow to the temple.
Take an elbow, and that'll do it. She was relentless.
Avsadagorova versus Graf. Speed, speed, speed. We've said this countless times on the channel. In MMA, you can never count out a fighter, even with a stacked deck. It would only take Diana 29 seconds to dismantle Tara with some of the fastest combinations you've ever seen from a female fighter. Enjoy the speed in silence.
Nice.
Oh, and she got dropped. Wow, the master of sports and freestyle wrestling with a master display in striking.